Good evening, everyone. Welcome, 7 o'clock. This is our study session, special board meeting. What we're going to do tonight is have the police department, they want to do a presentation on the millage. And Mr. Eric Ranka, who is on the police commission, will do the presenting. Am I correct, Eric?
Yes.
Why don't you come on up? We can just start immediately, and
Ready to go?
you can go from there, sir.
Okay, first of all, yeah, I get to present tonight on behalf of the police commission, but thanks for taking the time today. I know this is study session number 2, and hopefully this is the last one, but if we need more, we'll take more. So we've got this, I think, fairly streamlined, stop and ask questions at any point in time. So we'll go through the current status of the department, staffing, funding, millages, what our 5-year projections are, and then a couple different funding proposals that we've looked at, and then finally a recommendation and next steps. So current staffing, a lot of this stuff you've seen. There's only some slight changes. So right now we've got 22 in the department, and that's after Doug's retirement, 9 of which are patrol officers. The reality is we need 24 on staff to operate efficiently and safely on our 12-hour shifts. Funding projections are a little bit uncertain right now and hinder our ability to get back to 23 or even 24. So before we hire any more, we want to make sure we are back to a good, clean budget. A lot of OT for us is causing issues and has been now for really several years, burnout and turnover. On average, we're about $158,000 a year in OT, and that's when we've got 23 people. That trend increasing. Versus historically when we had 24, we were back down around 50,000. OT is not, it's a necessary tool. It never goes away, but right now we've got way too much. The DEA position must be staffed in order to maintain forfeiture funding. So that's the extra money we get from seizes and whatnot. That's been on hold for us since 2025. We've now got it back in place, and hopefully we can keep it in place. We'll talk a little more about forfeiture funds, but right now we're at 22 people, and we're not planning on doing any hiring until we've got approved budgets. Same here from a millage status. So the reality is we've got 6.6 mills that are voted that have been used for the police department. There's across 5 millages: the general allocated, general operating, and then police 1, 2, and 3. So they're voted at 6.6, but because of Headley, and because they've been renewed and they've got some age, we're only collecting 5.73. So the voters have said, hey, yep, we'll give you 6.6, but with Headley and the state laws, we're only getting 5.73. And then, as a point in note, police 3, this one mill here that's only being collected at 0.97 expires this summer and will need to be either renewed or replaced. So where does the police get its funding? There's really a couple of main sources here. So the 5 millages are by far and away the most. Again, it's 6.6 voted, 5.3 collected. In the GA, the general allocated, and GO, general operating, are intermingled with the township budget. So they're not dedicated to the police, but they are used most entirely for the police. From a forfeiture standpoint, we do have a little over $1 million in the forfeiture funds. However, it's very limited what you can do with those, and year to year they change based on the law. So for example, there's $1 million there, but we can't just say, okay, take that $1 million and just drop it right into the police department budget, operate off that, let it evaporate, and then get into the police budget. So there's very tight rules around it. We can use it, but there's tight rules with how we can use it. So for example, we used to be able to pay the salary of the people that were in the DEA. That's no longer possible. So we can pay for OT with it. Not sure how long that's going to last. So right now, that's how we're trying to get it fed into the budget in a certain amount. Historically, and I don't have the numbers here, but last time we talked about it, we're using about $280,000 of forfeiture a year to basically help out the budget. There's also cell tower revenues, which are shared with the fire department. It's around $20,000 a year in revenue. Most of that money goes back to maintaining the public safety building. And then there's multiple grants that the PD gets, but these are really zero because they're written for a specific thing, right? We want bulletproof vests, so the money goes in, money comes out. We need a computer system. We need, whatever it is, OT. So essentially, the police department runs a net zero budget, so there's no year-over-year carryover. There's really no planning or rainy day fund from that standpoint. The projections, I'll take a minute here, and I wish I could point out with a telestrator. So the chart up in the upper right-hand corner, so it's 23, 24, or 22 people. The budget, even though we've got Doug gone right now, is still written at 23. So we're saying that whatever is in the budget for OT is going to stay there. There's no adjustments up or down, and then the same thing for salary, because in this budget we'd assume we'd stay at 23. If we go to 24, our OT would drop. We're projecting by about 108,000. The salary would increase with fringes and benefits and everything else about 150. So your net change would be a $41,000 increase.
OT would drop to 108 or drop by 108?
By 108. So historically, it would drop to 108, right? So historically, basically the last time we had 24 in the department, we were running in the $50,000 range, and this actually trend continues to the left in that number. When we're at 23, that number goes significantly higher, right? So COVID year is a little bit, and we had 23.2 actually in 23-24. So what we're saying is, you drop by about 108,000, you go from 162 back down to 50,000 with that salary. So that's where this projection is coming from. This chart, and it's ugly and complicated, but I'll walk through it here. So under the year, so 25-26 baseline wages, that's what's in our budget today to the dollar. Same thing for insurance, for MERS, which is our retirement. Fire transfer in, this is where the fire department pays part of the dispatch because they share the dispatch. Operating budget, so the $566,000, this is where most of the money to operate, all the money to operate comes from. Uniforms, legal services, court fees, car maintenance, fuel, building maintenance, everything else, bullets, ammunition, everything the department needs. It's actually not a huge amount of money for the amount of people that we have on it. The average forfeiture usage. So when I showed this to you last time, this was a negative. Before we met with Teresa, we thought that this was actually going into the budget, so it's actually reducing the budget by at the time it was 280,000. But after talking with Teresa, she said, no, the budget you've seen doesn't have the forfeiture. That actually comes elsewhere and goes in, so it's actually adding to the costs of the budget. So it's really not a negative, it's a positive. So if you read all those across, it says it's $4.975 million this year, or this budget season, to run the department. A mill yields $808,000. So if you just say, okay, 1 mil, 808,000, we would need 6.15 mils this year to fully fund the department at $4.9 million. So that's how you read this left to right. Top to bottom is just, there's an assumption that we have, and we sat with Derek and Teresa to basically agree on these assumptions. So wages, we had a higher inflation number. Now we're saying, no, let's knock that down to 4. Insurance, we had a little bit lower. They said, no, this needs to be a little bit higher based on what we're seeing. MERS is at 8, fire transfer. The average forfeiture fund usage, we had been using $208,000 or $280,000. We can no longer pay for that DEA agent, so that's going to knock roughly $150,000 out of our usage of forfeiture. That's why it's in at 162. Last time we said, look, we're under market on the whole team, right, from top to bottom. So we had some money in here for market adjustments. We've taken that out and said we're not gonna focus on market adjustments. So that's now 0. And then the 1 mil yield is expected to go up about 3%. So what we say here is the first year, we need 6.15 mils. The next year 6.32, and so on and so forth, all the way down to the final year 7.04 mils. So what we said is, okay, how much either above or below, if we collected at 6.15 mils, would we, or at 6.65 mils rather, would we have? So all throughout the years, and we overcollect, and then under. So over the 6 years, there's a $250,000 surplus, or year over year, that's $42,000. Really kind of a rainy day fund. So $42,000 on a $5 million budget seems, fairly reasonable from a not necessarily surplus, but a fund, a safety net, if you will. So what this is telling us is, with these assumptions, circumstances, we should need 6.65 mils over the next 6 years to fully fund the department at 24 people, and then with modest increases. So there's a couple things. One is we're there, right? So 6.65 is actually what we have voted, or it's very close to what's voted, right? But it's not what's being collected. So it's clear that there's money coming in from the general fund, as there's millage not enough here just to pay for this. So the math here is suggesting that we need 6.65 total mills collected over the next 4 years, and that's going to that will hit Headley again. Then that'll start going down as well. So how do we get back to 6.6 voted mills? Again, we're voted at 6.6. We're only collecting 5.78. So Headley basically rolls that down. And we had looked at saying, okay, can we do a Headley override and just say, okay, let's override Headley, vote on overriding it, and get back to the originally voted 6.6, and then we're in good shape. The problem with that is that it would require 4 separate ballot proposals, actually 5 separate ballot proposals. So every mill would have to have its own ballot language to roll it back to its normal. But the general allocated, which would require the biggest override of 6.64, cannot be overridden. So this option is not feasible. That's this guy here. So general allocated is voted at 1.85. Because of Headley, we're only collecting at 1.21. So the delta there is 0.65. That just even not being able to override this one kills the whole idea of potentially doing a Headley override. So that was idea number one. That's no longer feasible. Idea number 2 was saying, hey, let's do a consolidated millage, right? We've got voter fatigue. We've got these 5 different mills. There's always a renewal. It's a challenge every year. So what if we take all of those mills and put it into one consolidated mill? And the opinion right now is that it's an incredibly heavy lift to educate the voter base to hey, we're going to take all these and we're going to combine them into this, and then when that happens, simultaneously the board's not going to levy these until they expire, and it's a pretty big risk. And then all of our eggs then are in one basket. So if a renewal for that single mill fails down the road, it becomes a pretty tricky issue. So 1 and 2, we said, okay, probably not the best ways to go. Option 3 then is say, okay, police number 3 expires. It's 1 mill right now. What if we let that expire and replace it with a different mill that then gets us back to the 6.6 originally voted? So the math there says, okay, if we were to do that, we replace number 3, it would go from 1 mil to 1.92. 1.92 because we say we need 6.65, but we're only collecting at 5.73 for Headley, so we're basically missing 0.92 mils from voted right now. So the idea is we take that 0.92 that's missing from Headley, roll it into the one that comes away, and now we've got a 1.92 new mill to replace Police 3 that expires this August. Ideally, we'd add that to the August primary ballot. Could also be in the November ballot, or maybe it's if it fails the first time, you could have a second go at it in the November ballot. Option 2, right, is if that doesn't happen, then we need to reduce staffing and come up with a different service model, which is not something that we've investigated in detail right now, but I think that would be a pretty big hit to the whole island. So if we were to pass right now, again, it's not studied in great detail, but we would probably have to stay, reduced down to 21 people. And even at 21, we still need police number 3 to pass. But at 21 people now, we've got, we would likely have to eliminate the DEA position, or we could potentially eliminate DEA. But eliminating DEA would then add extra financial stress because that money coming in then is now, the pipeline is now gone.
Eric, I'm sorry, let me jump in real quick. I want to make sure I just heard it correctly so the people got it correctly. When you said reduced to 21, you still need what to occur?
We still need the renewal for Police 3 at 1
least the
mil.
renewal.
At least the renewal has to still happen.
That's if the
That-
option 1 does not.
That's if,
Yes.
but option 1 is the 1.92.
Option one is kill 3, let it, and
Right.
move it in at 1.92.
Okay, all right.
But even if that fails, then we still would need at least the 1 mil, even to keep, at 21. So the renewal is needed, but the renewal is not enough is the,
Correct, that is
the
it.
problem.
What would this look like on the ballot? How many different issues would we be voting on?
This would be one issue. Basically, it would be, I'm not a language expert, but it would essentially say, allow previously voted police millage number 3 to expire on its normal expiry date, August 26, replace it with, police 3 prime at 1.92 mils
Okay.
for 5 years effective December 2027.
Eric, what concerns me here is educating the public to what this all means in their choice.
Yeah, and
Let's- Yeah, let's let Eric finish his presentation, and then we can ask him questions.
Yeah, we're pretty close here. So, so really then next steps here, right? So, we did the study session with you guys on the 20th, appreciate the feedback. Then we sat down with Derek and Teresa, reviewed the projections, made some corrections to them. Now we're in study session number 2 on the 16th. Ideally, we get some kind of alignment in the next couple of weeks with the Township Board on what direction you're wanting us to go. Then we review with the Township Attorney, and we get ballot language for the August primary, and then we would need the Township Board to vote on it before May 12th at 4 p.m. So we still have a fair amount of runway, and then even then, there's going to have to be a pretty big community outreach push on the realities of the millage request. So the goal here is to be as fiscally responsible. No one wants to pay more taxes as absolutely possible, but we've got to keep maintain a level of trained officers, equipment, and available when residents need them.
You do plan, it says here, a town hall.
Yes.
We would have
Is
to
there
have
a-
probably several.
I'll do more than one.
Are you looking at just the month, the around approximately?
Well, we're probably, once this is approved, I will pull something together very quickly, and we can do multiple, is my goal.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and with absentee ballots, right? A lot of the voting is done even prior to August, so
Well, that's my
it'd be a
question.
pretty heavy lift. Yeah.
That's my question, because do you know when the absentee, because Brian's not here, do you know when the absentees go out? That was my,
60 days?
Yeah, it's 60 days.
60 prior to the election, and the
My
election,
80 hours of training.
That's right, Mr. Clerk.
60 days.
That was on the test.
Well, I'm glad you went to training last week. Okay, so it's 60 days before, that was my question. Thank you, Clerk Jameson.
Hey, Eric.
Yep.
What was it, 1.92 million? Is that 23 or 24 employees for you?
That would be 24.
Okay.
But the difference between 23 and 24, because OT would then come down, salaries go up, is around $40,000 a year.
Okay. And what do you need to get somebody to be able to start earning forfeitures again at DEA?
We have them. They're there.
You got them in place now, right?
Yep.
They're in place right now. They were off for a while because we had a lot of FMLA. We had a lot of people that were out of the department for other reasons. So we basically needed that manpower on Grozeal. Back in right now, hopefully we can keep them, right? And,
Right.
DEA is not the only option, but that's probably the easiest option because then it puts our force all here on Grozeal.
And if the renewal, say just the renewal went through, and that's 21 employees, what would the mills be for that? I'm just looking at the spread between 21 and 24 employees.
Well, by voted mills, it's only 0.05. But by actual mills, because we're only collecting at 5.73, right? So that's that 0.92 delta. So it's essentially a mill difference.
0.92 delta for 21 and 24 employees. Right.
Well, no,
It's actually that's
Not exactly.
not totally that way, because we're looking at the total department. Yeah. So it's I could do the math here fairly quickly.
If you can't, I probably have it at home.
Yeah, we can. It's a little complicated as you get further down because the
Yeah.
everything multiplies through, right?
You don't have to worry about it. I got the mill
We'll get it for
chart
you.
at home.
Okay.
We'll
I
get
do.
it for you.
Okay.
Eric, just a quick question for you. So you guys decided, if you go back to your chart about the combined, so, sorry, farther down, 2 slides, you're right there. So you guys, can you explain, the logic behind, and I have a tendency to agree with you, but going from, go back to the last one you're on.
Oops, sorry, this guy.
Right there.
Yep.
So going to 1.92 new rather than doing a renewal and then an incremental increase with like a PD for.
I think that's something we can talk about, and it's a study session. I
I'm
mean,
not advocating for it, I'm just.
yeah, I mean,
I'm
so
assuming you got a
it,
good reason for that.
overall, I mean, it's just more voter fatigue. So right now, we've got, basically, you know, the general allocated doesn't necessarily have to get renewed. The operating village does have to get renewed. It's not due until 8/31. But police 1, 2, and 3, the dedicated, every year, essentially, you're going back to the voters and say, hey, give me a renewal, give me a renewal, give me a renewal. And it's just voter fatigue. And then if we add a 4th, right, and maybe it's safer to say, okay, well, let's lock in 3, because typically renewals, you know, have a better tendency of passing than a new mill. But that's an option too. We could say, okay, let's renew 3 and then add a police 4. That's certainly an option.
That police for would be how much?
0.92.
0.92.
I mean, I think your strategy is sound, right? Like, because if the increase fails, you can come back for the renewal in November.
That's right.
So,
That's right. And then
and
you've
you're
got
going to have a larger voting population.
and then you've got another bite at it because you've got, well, other than there may not be an election next year. Well, there may or may not be. I don't know what the schedule is for 2027 right now, but
That wasn't in my training.
I don't think it's defined yet.
Not on the test.
You do August, then you do November, and November could end up being your renewal plus an additional if you
It's
wanted to.
it's possible. That's right. That's right. I just longer term, you know, and I think we need to hash this out as a bigger group. But longer term, you know, now you got 4 mills, and now you've got a whole nother year in there of like just every year there's a renewal, right? It just gets complicated for the voters. And there's an option too, if you extend that, make it instead of a 5-year or 3 or 5, make it a 10-year. Well, then now you've got 10 years of Headley, you know, draining that thing down.
And so the people understand, as you were explaining, Headley does reset, but only at when the millage renews, correct?
No. If you renew a mill, so for example here, Police 1 right now, or Police 3, let's talk Police 3, it's voted at 1, it's collecting at 0.97 right now. If this were to go to a renewal, it would be something less than 0.97.
Oh, wait a minute.
I don't get that.
I thought Headley, it was explained that Headley resets when the millage is new.
What is new, yes.
Is new, not
And
renewed, not
renewed doesn't
renewed.
mean new.
Correct,
Renewed just means it's re-upped.
correct.
Okay. My apologies, I misunderstood when it was explained to me about renewed or new.
Yeah, no, that's the big difference, because a renewal is, yeah, typically easier, but then you get that Headley, you know, just adds another 3% or whatever.
So every
gonna
time it's
be.
re-upped, it's still going down.
That's right. Even just a re-up, it's still going
If
down.
you have a brand new one, which we don't, well, this one would be.
Yeah,
The one would be.
The current proposal, and again, I think we need
Yeah.
to hash it out with, you know, with you guys and
Now
what we think
that's
is
a new
best. But yeah, that would be new. Police 3 would go away, and it would be police, you know, whatever we wanted
A
to
couple
call it.
of quick questions here.
Yeah.
This renewal sort of thing, we have a mill, we turn it down, we ask for a new mill, and we get a little bit more money out of it.
Essentially, yes.
Okay, I want to make sure I got that straight.
But also, if the renewal then fails and it expires, then you can't, it's not a renewal then. So for example, if Police 3, which is gonna expire in August, if we don't vote that up before it expires, right, then it would, you can't just renew it again later. You'd have to go with a new mill.
So if a collection date occurs before that's renewed, then it expires and you cannot call it a renewal.
I think I understand it. The other question was the 1.92 is basically a millage that's got the previous millage that's expiring plus the addition of additional money.
That's right. That's right.
I've
So
heard,
it's,
I've
yeah,
heard
it's,
people talking about the fact that if that thing goes down, we take the past and throw the baby out with the bathwater if we had an open situation where you had a chance to choose between one versus the other, as opposed to making it 1.92 that might have some strength.
Right. Well, and even the 1.92, that still is getting it back to collecting at 6.6, which was what was originally voted, but because of Headley, it's 6.6 is now 5.73. It's like that old
Just from the
Birmingham's
various
and Troy
comments I've
commercial.
heard from a variety of sources, I think that we have to talk our way through that for a strategy to deal with the public. I mean, what we say and how we say it is going to be important to this whole issue.
Oh, completely agree, right? And what, what happens if we can't fund GIPD, right? Well, does Wayne County come in here, right? Does, GIPD goes away at 5 o'clock and then Wayne County is here at night? I don't know, right? And I'm not trying to paint anything super negative, but it's we've got an issue we got to solve.
Exactly, we're on the same ship, or
So what's the amount that's collected each year?
So right now, we're collecting at a rate of 5.73.
The dollar amount,
The dollar amount,
is that right?
let's see here.
So the 808 is because of Headley?
So 808 is what the taxable value of the Groseville tax base is. So 1 mil on Groseville this year is $808,000.
I thought they were 832. I don't understand the difference.
Maybe it's taken at a different time.
It is 832,000 before the EPA Rockville cap.
That's right, okay.
So 5.73 at 808 generates 4.629.
Yeah. Which is below the 4.79.
So
that
it starts at
it's gonna
832,
consume.
but you end up with 808,
Right,
correct?
right.
And the goal is to use the surpluses from the first 3 years to cover the,
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And maybe you can even go, depending, maybe you go longer, 6 years is a long crystal ball to look at with these.
Sure.
So he's got
These ups and
808
downs.
at 25-26, which is the current year, and 832 at 26-27, which is the next fiscal year, which is what we've been talking about. So his numbers jive with what we've been talking about.
No, I just didn't understand the difference with the brownfield.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I was question.
All right,
But,
good.
yeah, Jameson, that's the idea is, okay, you're gonna, because there's no, unless, I don't know if you can have a scalable mill, I don't think so, but, rather than just going and saying, hey, we need 7.04, well, that's gonna kill residents right now, there's no reason to do that, right? That's not needed for 6 more years, so.
Villages are scalable so long as you don't exceed what the approved amount is, so you can always collect less, but you cannot collect.
That's right, so so you're saying you could vote it at 7, but then township could only levy X.
yeah,
We
the,
voted at 7, we'd have the ability to vote it at 7, but these folks here would have the decision annually what they wanted to levy it.
Yeah, yeah.
Up to that amount.
But then I think you've got a whole nother political thing to deal with, right?
another question, everybody?
Yep.
We've got these projections here on what the future will be, like 25, 26 is 2,136,000 for wages.
Yep.
And it works its way up until it's 2,006,000 almost. Is that projection going to be consistent with reality? Do we have an engine that has plans to make that work?
So if I look in my industry, and I'm doing a lot of this right now, you've got some years that are 2%, some are 3%, and we've had a couple at 8 and 11%. So on average of 4%, I mean, it's a crystal ball, right? I mean, this is the kind of stuff I'm using in general industry, right? Obviously, we've got some unions, some non-unions, but yeah, I mean, that could be 3.5, it could be 4.5. Unfortunately, that's right.
Okay, that's okay.
So you gotta take your best guess with what
You
historically
pay your
is
dues and
told
take your
you
chances.
and go from there, right?
Thank you.
And even at this, right, I mean, the board could, you're right, the board, if there's not if they think there's gonna be too much of a surplus, they could reduce the levy. And then one thing that I think is interesting here as well was, so this is the millage chart. So back in '23, we were at 15.98. 24 was a good year. So if we add, the 0.92, because the one's already in the number. So in December 2026, right, we would be at 14.39 plus the 19.2, or plus the 0.92 rather. So we'd still be, at 15.31, which is under some of our historic highs.
Well, the millage, can you give us the total cost? Because the millage rate is changing constantly.
Yeah.
So the total cost you need each year. So you're saying this year is just under 5 million?
That's correct.
And then what's the percentage dollar increase in the second year, third year, fourth year, that sort of thing? Is that?
Yeah, so this is the total. So basically it says we need, just under 5 million now, 4.97. And by 2031, that is going to potentially be 6.6.
8%.
Does it show anywhere the increase per year, each year, percentage-wise?
I could add the percentage, but it's a conglomeration of wages, insurance. Wages are at 4, insurance is at 8, MERS is at 8. Operating is at 5, right? So really the most control that we have, how we spending our supplies is only going up 5% per year. And it's already, I did the math. This is like, $200,000. This whole budget's like $200,000 per employee. And that's wages, healthcare, supplies, everything. It's pretty good.
If I'm hearing you correctly, you're projecting roughly for the 5% there, right?
Well, every one of these is a little bit different.
Yeah,
So
no, I'm talking about our operating.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I didn't make
That's right.
myself clear.
Yep, that's right. Operating 5%.
In inflation, we run at roughly 3% or a little less.
Industrial goods are actually a little bit more. In the operating budget would be more than just wage inflation. It would be more of, cost of goods, right?
The
Because this is
disparity
things
between
like,
the two, I was concerned that our plans for taxes for the future would be keeping up with the demands that are real.
yeah, so there's different inflation. So in this case, we looked at the operating as more of like durable goods inflation, right? Which is a little bit higher than wage inflation, unfortunately, for all of us working folks.
You got to adjust this every year when you're operating it.
Yes. Yeah, and this is things like bulletproof vests, gas, energy, legal fees, all in this operating budget.
Okay, I got a little joke in this. When I was in the Marine Corps, it was beads, bandages, and bullets.
That plus, yeah. So it's not the best truth, but if you look at it, really, we're voted at 6.6. I think the department and the townships have done a good job to keep the total needed at 6.6, right? Unfortunately, we're collecting much lower than that, so we need to level set one way or the other here.
All right, anything, I didn't even interrupt. Were you complete with your
think so,
presentation
yeah.
before we go?
Yep.
Mark?
Could you go back to the last page, please? Yeah, okay, thanks.
Did you have a question, Kevin, or are you
I
just
just
picturing it?
wanna, there we go.
Mark or Jameson, I think, do you guys have any questions? We didn't hear from you, I don't think yet. Either of you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Mark, you got anything?
No, I'm all set at this point.
You sure? Okay.
Yes, at this point.
I just want to give everybody a chance to talk.
At another point, Mark might be unset.
No, go
But I was just messing with you.
You good? I'm just giving you a chance. Okay. Anything else that you would like to say for us or the public?
No, I think that's it. I think probably what's right for us is probably the police commission would probably vote and make a recommendation to the board and say, we think you guys should, approve this ballot language. Unless, I think that's the right way forward. I don't know. I haven't my first time through this particular process. Or do you want the direction to flow backwards from the board to the police commission?
If you're asking me personally, and just as a board member, I think that you should okay it at your commission first.
Okay.
Whatever it may be, if it's 1.92, 1.6, 1.7, whatever it is, 0.8, whatever you come
Yep.
up with, then you bring it to us, and then it would be an action item to recommend to the board, obviously, and what your reasons would be in the history,
Sure.
and Margaret would read that. And then the board then would, I think, take it from there. And if there's changes from there, like a friendly amendment or something to that effect, I don't know, we'd need more talk, but
Okay.
I think it should start with your group first.
Okay. So then question from our group, we meet whenever well, tomorrow we meet, but I don't think we're all gonna be there tomorrow. So maybe, our next meeting, we come up with a proposal. Do we want another study session to talk through this, or do we wanna let you guys just mull over the proposal?
What do you guys think? I mean, the board members speak up, because I mean, we got it twice now.
So we're
This
gonna
was
need
very
a study
informative.
session before the 23rd, is that what you're asking?
I
No,
don't need another
I
study
don't,
session.
I don't
unless-
either.
I
Don't-
think,
That's why I'm asking.
yeah, I think we'll do our recommendation from the police commission, and I'll bring it to the board, and we can vote on it from there.
Okay.
Do we vote on all millages at the same time, though, or are we doing it separately, or?
You can do it separately, so, they all just have to, whenever they're gonna be on the ballot, there's a deadline for which that's voted on.
Okay, and they don't all need to give a presentation, do they? If there's just some
Up to
minor
the board,
increases?
what you guys want out of the commissions as far as presentations
Okay.
and information.
I would be in favor of another meeting. I'm not in accord with what I've heard so far, only because we need care and thinking into how we present this to the public.
We-
The way we do that is important.
I bet you Eric would meet with you one-off if you wanted.
And I've got a whole presentation, Bill, that I've pulled together.
Yeah, I wasn't
so
planning on going through this here, but
This is a
we've
very
got-
high level,
Yeah,
right? So we've got something for the community, so we're prepared. We've come very prepared.
So I think I would be remiss not to point out that members of the board can educate the public about millages, but not advocate for millages.
That's right.
And we're aware of that too, but I appreciate you pointing it out.
Would you also
about the
send the
commissions?
board a copy
rule?
of all of this, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mark, you have,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I do have a point of clarification. So we were talking about August and we're talking about November for the ballot proposals and the
Yep.
millage and so forth. I just want to be clear for myself. I'm going to go back and watch this again anyways, I see we're on air. But my question is for August, these are going to be separated as far as the renewal and the increase? Or are they going to be combined in August and then we can break them out for November?
So right now, the request would be that we don't do the renewal. I mean, well,
Okay.
the police commission may vote something different, but right now, this is written that we would not do the renewal, it would be replaced, and that would be voted
Okay.
on in August.
but it'd be 1.92 in August.
That's right.
So it's
That
kind of
would
a
go.
combination of replacing them, two of them with the one, yes?
That's right.
Correct.
That's
Okay,
right.
all right, I
That's
just want to be clear. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you can renew an expired millage as long as you stay within the same calendar year. So,
As long as it's prior to the collection date.
right, which would be December. So, I guess not calendar year, but yeah, that mark. So you could still have the renewal in November. You would just want to have the language all ready to go, queued up, and the board prepared to vote on it, because you're going to have a really tight margin with getting it on the ballot.
Yeah, you'd have to figure out when that renewal language would have to be approved by the county. You might have to approve it, I don't know what that timeline is, Brian's got that information. But you might actually have to have that language approved before the first one.
Yeah, and the township board could structure our action item to have like a fallback,
Either or, yeah.
right? Where it's like, should that millage fail, then this one will be placed on the November ballot.
So, yeah, the goal is to have a conversation with Kristen, because I also wanted to look into, initially it was just to not have the DDA capture police funds, but inherently it would be DDA and Brownfield not capture funds, and I need to understand exactly how we would go about doing that.
Well, I think they would reimburse you.
Yeah, I didn't think it was reimbursing.
That's probably not the right word,
Well, no,
but.
I know what you're, but
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know what you're getting at, but I do think there's something more to it than that. So
Either that or the collections that have to be exempted within the plans.
right, so since the TIF is coming up for DDA, My assumption is, the way I looked at it, is it could be managed within that new TIF plan. But I don't know about brownfield. That's why I want to discuss this with her and make sure we have all of our ducks in a row and there's no confusion, because I do know with the last millage, on top of all the confusion that had been created on that one, part of the confusion, I think for some people, had to do with the DDA brownfield language, and, you know, there was a lot of chatter about that, and I just want to alleviate some of that as well.
Okay, well, I definitely appreciate everyone's time. I know this is not a regularly scheduled meeting, and it's kind of personal time for everyone here, so greatly appreciate this one and the last one. If there's questions, let me know.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Eric.
you.
I do have a question for the audience once you're all set, if you are,
Good.
Eric?
Yep.
Thank you again for your time. Very informative, and we'll get together. The podium is in the way. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to make a comment, any public comment? You can do it on this. I will give you the
Negatory.
chance. I got you. The podium's just in the way. Okay, next we've got a study session on the commissions, chairs, etc. Do we need a 5-minute break?
That would be helpful.
Helpful? Okay, then go ahead. We'll come back. It's 7:41. Why don't we go to like 7:46? Is that all right? regarding commissions. Is the chair in this one too? Chairs and commissions, or just did we combine them? at the
Yes.
I think they were combined, yeah.
Last meeting? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
I mean, my concern was
Um,
actually 3 on the last one, but.
Why don't, Mark, if you want to start, you asked for it to be tabled and moved to a study session, if you would like to start.
Okay, I was talking about the recommission of the, or reapproval, I guess, of the commissioners.
Yes.
I didn't have an issue with the chairs. I guess someone else may have had an issue with the chairs, and that's fine. They can bring that up. But I know I brought this up last year, and it was just kind of glossed over. But we talked about it early on. I've talked with several board members about certain certain commissioners who are basically not showing up for the meetings. I mean, there's a lot of absentee issues. I sent out an email earlier today. I realized it wasn't the 5 or 6 days beforehand. It wasn't an official publication for the study session. I do apologize for that. I was a little late getting the information from Brian, and Brian did a great job getting it together for me. If you're watching, thanks again. But nevertheless, there's several commissioners I'm not sure they had a lot of value at this point, meaning that their absenteeism and I guess their engagement. And I thought instead of doing just a blanket reapproval of everybody, maybe we should take a little bit closer look. And that would be up to each liaison to go through their commissions as well. I'm not asking for me to go through everybody's commission. I know about my commission. Everybody else knows about their personal commissions and what's going on with those commissions. So I guess my point was maybe some people need to be replaced who are not committing and showing up for whatever reason it may be. I mean, there are various reasons why people can't make the commission meetings, and I understand that. But we need people who are able to be committed, show up, and help engage and move our community forward instead of regressing. And I think when we have the lack of engagement, the lack of attendance, that's what might be happening with certain instances or certain commissions amongst the entire township. I'm not just trying to single anybody's commission out, but if you get the opportunity to go through the email I sent out with the attendance records alone will show that there are certain commissioners who are on a continuous basis not showing up for the meetings for whatever reason it may be, but they cannot attend the meetings. And I'm thinking maybe it's time to cycle people through, do I guess if you will, a marketing scheme to get more people interested and maybe get new blood, so to speak, on these commissions and help move things forward, maybe get some new ideas, some fresh ideas, and come up with different ways to move our community forward.
Yeah, I think the attendance. I think the attendance issue is an issue. I suppose it would be up to commission liaisons, or commission chairs to recommend someone for removal for attendance. But we do have a policy, and I believe it's 75% meeting attendance. So I think that would probably be the bar. That said, I for one would like to see. I would like to see some new folks on commissions. I'd like to see some younger folks on commissions, and representing, families with young children, and that demographic that I think is pretty underrepresented in township government.
I think, just to add to that, I appreciate you bringing this up, Mark. And looking through some of the folks, I was surprised that some of the people that are asking to be reappointed have, and 75% is the number, the cutoff. If you're less than 75, then you're
75-25, yeah.
yeah, so we have some folks that have missed, that are only 70% attendance, 33% attendance, 66, two folks on a particular commission. And all the commissions aren't on this list, so it is concerning. One person only has shown, only has 42%.
Kevin, you're talking about, not absent rate, but showing up rate. is what you're
Right,
saying, right?
42% attendance.
Yeah, that's,
And that, I think, first of all, thank you to everybody who has been on a commission for years and years and years, and I appreciate all the time and effort that everybody has put in. I do appreciate that. However, I think it is an opportunity to take a break if you're not able to attend, or just take a break from the commission for a period of time. We could decide what that is and put out, as Trustee Mills said, put out let people know that we are looking for new, fresh ideas, new eyes, new folks to come in and fill these positions for people that just, for whatever reason, have found that it's difficult to get here, and again, maybe they need to take a break, and then we'll bring in some new folks.
One thing I thought could kind of bridge, because I've thought of this before, so you may have someone on a commission who's particularly expert in a topic, right? There might be somebody on DPS that's like, listen, I know everything there is to know about sewers. But they're a busy professional, so they can only attend like 50% of meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we could probably make some kind of commission member at large, right? Where they can attend, they can speak, but they don't vote, so then you're not breaking your quorum if they can't make it. And maybe for those people that are trying to serve and be experts but are busy, that might be a way to kind of bridge that gap a little bit, where it's like, hey, listen, guy, I know you need to step back from this a little bit, you're very busy, but I want to keep you on the commission as a commission member at large. We just need to be able to achieve quorums and have good debate. So come to the meetings, sit in the chair, you can have a microphone, you just can't vote. I don't know what this body might think of that.
That's a great idea.
I like that idea, Jim.
Yeah, I did notice when I went through the commissions, there are some individuals, I have to say, that have some expertise, and they are busy. I'm not saying those who can show up aren't busy. Everyone's busy. So I guess my point is, I would be in favor of something like that too, because I looked at a couple of them, I don't want to bring their names up, but they're absolutely experts in what they're looking for at certain times. But they do have you want to call them high-end jobs or high-time jobs, which takes their time up in other meetings also. You know what I mean? I mean, they're in all kinds of meetings, and for other cities, they are, so.
I have a lot of thoughts on this. The 42% one was on one of my committees. So we take the best and the brightest with the most experience. These are people that are running million-dollar businesses. They've done this job. They know it. They're available by phone. They're available by Zoom calls. They come to the meetings when we need them. If they are in Florida and we call them, they will fly home immediately for us. And so also one other thing is they are our older population. I feel like this is ageism, where we're saying, hey, when you get a little too old, we're going to bounce you off the committees, because if you look at these names, they tend to be the older ones. Now, if you're older and you live in Michigan, winters are brutal. So you might fly to Florida a couple times a year, and you might be at less than 75%. But by the end of the year, your numbers are back up because you're here for all of summer, all of fall, right? And so you're looking mid-year, it's not even a full calendar year. And I don't even know if everybody on this board has been on a commission, if they know what it takes. But when you have these people that are running these businesses or have run the fire department or open space, I call that poor man constantly, and he's out checking the trails for me, cutting down trees that are in the way, picking stuff up. And one of the things I learned early in my employment is you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. And we definitely have people on our committees that are smarter than us. DPS, they're brilliant. Fire Commission, some of those people, outstanding. The airport, I've never flown a plane. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't had anybody knocking on my door saying, hey, I want to be on one of your committees either. And so if you did this, you would actually shut down some of the committees, right? And then how do we do business from this?
I think
I would disagree with that particular statement as far as shutting things down. I think it might draw new people out as well. I think some people are reluctant to apply and pursue things because there are long-standing members, I guess is probably the way to put it, and they realize that they're probably not even going to be considered. And maybe another way we could look at this too is maybe put some type of term limits, because I know each commission has a different requirement as far as length of years on that particular commission. Like mine's 3, some are 4, some are less, some are more. So maybe we do like a 3-term type thing. Then you take a break for a year, go enjoy your family, then maybe you come back. Jameson put a good mix into it too, as well as maybe being the committee member or commission member at large, a citizen at large, still have a voice or an input, but not necessarily a vote, because we still need quorums. I know my commission early on ran into issues with quorums, and I know other commissions do as well. So I'm thinking maybe we have some of these seasoned or veteran type people, if you will. They can still be a voice in the community, but we have a different voting base on the board to listen and learn from our previous commissioners, and so we can carry the torch forward. Because sooner or later, I mean, let's face it, we're not all going to be here forever, and we need to get this community, get this island ready to move forward.
Okay,
I
but
think that's part
not
of our
being here
job.
forever sounds like ageism again.
No.
I'm not going
I
with
don't
ages,
think
so
ages-
please
Wait, I'm
don't bring
still
that up.
talking.
So was
Hold on.
I.
Hold on, let her
So
just
was I.
finish the
I'm
point.
still talking.
So was
And
I.
Who put a person on here that's deceased?
No, I'm
Look
not
at your
tired of
materials before you put them out. You got a deceased person on here.
Well, it's just the township
disrespectful.
numbers.
Okay,
It's
hold on,
it's
let Mark finish then.
disrespectful.
Let Mark finish.
I'm done. You're good. Go ahead, keep going.
No,
I'm
Mark,
done.
I apologize, I thought you were done
I
talking. You
honestly
jumped in.
thought you had paused too, to be fair.
Yeah, you paused.
Fair, no worries, I understand. I'm all set.
So I think everybody has brought up some good points. I'm gonna highlight a couple of them and play devil's advocate. So, Mark, you had brought up a point about, length of time on the commission, right? You'd have a term limit, you said, right? So my only concern with that is I did take a look at some of the commissions. For example, on rec, you would take out the chair and the vice president. So you would take out Chad and Wendy. On DPS, you would be taking out Phil and Mr. Kosidek. On airport, you'd be, I'm pretty sure, wiping everybody out on the airport commission based on the amount of years. On ZBA, your chair, I think, would hit the term limit, right? And he's fabulous.
Yes.
So that's my concern with the term limits. The other thing, I think you hit a good point early on as well. Have the liaisons. So when I first got on the police commission, our chair was, while he attended meetings, there were personal things going on. He felt like, he couldn't step down. We had a really good conversation and he felt better about it. I feel like, each liaison, if you had, let's say you had an issue, right? You could have a conversation with, somebody on your commission. You and I have talked about this. I have a lot of, we'll call them heavy hitters on my commission that have high-end positions, right? They go out of the country for X amount of time. They're going to miss, in fact, 2 of them go out of the country often, right? But they are very, very good at providing feedback through email, taking calls, taking texts, similar to what Mickey had said. I'm very adverse to kind of, removing people that are definitely being very supportive on some of these commissions. And commissions like yours, Mark, they're very specialized, right? That's why you did what you did, which was smart. You made sure you got somebody to come in and he fills in when he can, because if somebody's missing, you're concerned about a quorum. You've got somebody that can step in, that you guys have educated, you've worked with him. Planning's another one. That's a heavy hitter commission that requires a lot of knowledge. DPS, the 2 gentlemen I mentioned, they're phenomenal. Those are people you wouldn't want to lose. Airport, again, I don't know a whole lot about, not that, and we all can't learn, we can. All I'm saying is that would, a term limit, if you will, would wipe out an entire commission. So perhaps we just need to look at the whole makeup of everything, maybe go with your first idea, which is have the liaisons kind of take a good look and have these conversations. Like if you're one of those people that has people that, are in the low percentage of attendance, if you know why, and you guys, you've excused it because they are supportive, they do this and this, maybe we leave that. Or maybe we come back and have another conversation about this. But I think, everybody's had some good points. It's just, I think we have to look at this from a little bit of a holistic picture, because term limits could really cause us problems. That's how I'm
Well,
looking at
it was just an idea I was bringing forward.
No, and
That's
I
all
like
it
the
was.
brainstorming. No, that's what I'm saying. You had a lot of good ideas. I think personally, the first initial idea is each liaison needs to do some due diligence, right? Have a conversation if need be, and then go from there. But if you feel like you have a good, strong group and they work well together, maybe you don't need to have that conversation because you know why this one and this one are out of the country and they do their best to attend, but they also support in these ways, or, whatever the case is. But I think, we've got a lot of good conversation here, but I think some of these things may not be as feasible as others. Just my point of view.
It's a fair point.
Kevin
I
had,
support,
I'd like to,
Kevin had something.
I think that the other thing I noticed when I was looking at there are some members of commissions that are on multiple commissions, and they're not meeting, they might be on 2 or 3 commissions. We have commissions that have, or the individual chair people are the chairpersons for multiple committees. I think that, again, some of the folks that are on the commissions have been here for a long time, and they know their information backwards and forwards, but it's also time to open this up and get some fresh ideas and fresh air and bring some new people in who can offer new perspectives, new ideas. A lot of the people that have been doing this over and over the years, maybe they can go to an emeritus status, something like that. But really, it's important that if other commission members have to be here for meetings multiple times, 12 times a year or whatever their number is, it's only fair that the rest of the committees do the same thing. And I think it's time to open this up and really put out a call for new people and new ideas.
There's
Those
a
terms
coup-
remind me of age discrimination.
Hold
I
on,
think-
hold on.
It's age.
Yeah,
Well, it is,
Jameson's
right? Like,
been-
young people are a voting bloc. Young people need representation.
But you
And-
can't do it by blocking out the older people.
We're not
though.
doing
Well,
And when
no
you say
one's
not
blocking
doing
anybody
and-
out. So, I mean, honestly, Mickey, you came in here at our first meeting talking about old white men. The
Old
township
white
government
men?
is full of
Yes,
old
you
white
did.
men, right?
Probably
So,
did say older white males.
so
and you
what
need
I'm
to
saying is,
That doesn't mean.
in
hold
you
on,
need to take
particular-
let Jameson speak. Jameson, speak.
in particular, like the planning commission, right? The planning commission does a very good job. But I would like to see like a 30-year-old mother, or maybe like a 28-year-old guy from on the north end, or something like that, involved in particular with like that kind of commission, right? The recreation commission does have some younger folks on it and some women, but some of these other commissions are very much a old guard, old gross eel type commission. And that dictates the future of what gross eel looks like. So if that's what we want as a board, that's fine, but I think that is a consideration, right? When we're saying we want some new blood and new ideas, it's like maybe some people representing another voting bloc.
But you're using the term old in your explanation, old this and old that. And what I said when I came on board is, Joe, you got no women on those commissions. And Joe put Margaret and I on the police and fire. And what I've felt so far is that nobody wants us to have the authority as liaisons, right?
Well, you
Like
you represent the public, not the commission.
and you don't think
It's not
I've been
about
wait,
authority.
you don't think
You don't
I've
have
been
any authority as a liaison.
You don't
have
think I've
zero
been
authority.
representing the public? You don't think I'm an active board member?
I think that you are supposed to protect the public against the government as an elected official, not represent the organization to the board.
Agreed.
You know what, you can agree all you want. So, okay. So the
Can I
fire
stop you really
department.
They were
quick?
pretty
Can-
far
wait,
off topic
let me-
now.
No, but
just-
you know what? You just basically said, I don't want any older white men. And I'm
Oh.
telling you, I want
Oh,
a
I don't think
different.
That's not what I said.
I really want to
I
go
want to
back.
cut this. I want to cut this right now.
But
Let me
Joe,
talk. No,
one
no.
good point is we haven't even looked for volunteers or openings
I know,
yet.
but hold on. When, I think, I'm going to say this. Because of the way that you guys are speaking tonight about the 75-25, if an individual has to leave because of the 75-25, Jameson's saying, I would like new blood. He's not saying I want to go, I'm positive, because I talked to Jameson about this. He's not saying I want to kick anybody off because of their age. He's saying if people have to leave, I just like to see some new blood in certain areas, that's all.
But why not look at openings first?
Oh, well, that's
Haven't heard
fine.
any conversation about which ones have an opening.
Well,
on the
that's
commission.
fine. I want to bring a couple things up. One question has to be asked, then I have to make a comment about my experience. I don't think anybody has the experience I have within Groseal Township. So this is the point. First off, the question is, everybody would be happy, the 75-25, the policy itself, you're happy with that, is that correct? I mean, is that where we're at?
No, I think the commissions need to have more of a say because
No, I'm asking the 75-25 to come to a meeting, you get 3 misses in a year. That's all you get. That's your 25%. Are we not fairly much in agreement? The policy's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you need more flexibility.
Okay. We're close then. Okay. The second thing is, and I have to be the devil's advocate because I've seen this occur. Once you start to swing the axe and have people leave, just be prepared. More follow. That's all I'm going to tell you. Because I think that this went already through the commission some years ago when, I'm just going to say when some were asked to leave, not forced. Yeah, they were forced. But others left with it. And this was not the situation I know that you're all thinking of. This was a couple of different situations from years previous to that. So I just want you to be prepared if we do move forward with something like this and the vote goes that way where what I assume would be like if we're going to talk about a next step tonight, but the 25% you get 3 a year, and if you do 4 or 5, then you'll be asked to leave. That's basically what I'm listening to tonight, and that's okay. That's your prerogative. But you'll have a lot more than the 2 or 3 to leave. I promise you, because I saw it happen. So we got to be prepared for that to make decisions that are in the best interest of Groseal Township. Now, we can be here all night talking about it. We need to talk about a next step. I'm sorry, I don't know if it was Margaret that brought up or somebody brought up, the liaisons should be the ones that go to the commissions and first talk about this. How do we enforce this? How do we notify? How do we let them know? Tell me what you feel before we take a vote. Or is this something, Mark, would you want it just on an action item to like vote and say if you didn't make the 25 for the year this time, then you'd be asked to leave, or how do you want to do it?
Well, I would be comfortable with something like that. However, yeah, I think the 75% cutoff should be a starting point, and the liaisons, I agree with you, in fact, they should go talk to the board or whoever may be in violation of that and see what they want to do, how they want to try to clear that up. If they can't make it, like Jameson said earlier, they can still be a voice, they can still be a resident at large and still have input, but we need a quorum. Now, so far lately, my particular board commission has been fine. We've had a quorum. It has been an issue. It was for a while. That has changed. I recall almost at every meeting I sat at the board, requesting people to apply. We got it filled. On the note that when I may be asking for fresh ideas, it has nothing to do with the age of the particular person. It's just fresh ideas, different people. I don't care what age you are, what nationality, none of that matters. I'm looking for fresh ideas for people who can commit and show up. That is all I'm asking for.
Okay.
So to answer your question again, Joe, was, yeah, the liaisons should go to their boards and research it, find out who wants to stay on, who wants to stay committed, and if not, then we do, like I said earlier, I guess in a sort of a marketing campaign, and go out looking for new people who can commit to being there more than 75% or more.
Okay, do you guys think this is fair then? we've heard from just about everybody on each issue here from within this issue. And we ask all of the, I have the DDA and I have the Bridge Commission. So we're gonna ask all the liaisons first. Is this our first step? You gotta have a plan, you gotta have timing, we gotta finish it, and we have to follow through that. I don't like kicking cans down the road. I like completing things, but I like doing them correctly.
Well-
So should we first go to our commissions, talk to them, and then have a plan to say, look, by this month, this such and such, we're going to be reviewing this and enforcing the policy, or what's the next step then? You guys,
Well, I think
I've
it's,
got an idea on
let me
this.
hear
yeah,
it.
it's got to be up to the liaison and chair, right? Like Mark said initially. Like, maybe Mickey does have some really great people that can't attend that often and she wants to retain them. That commission should have that latitude to do so, you know?
But they don't have to be voting members necessarily.
But it's an insult to ask them to be on it and not vote. And, I mean, we already had people on the Bridge Commission that with this nonsense said, hey, I don't even want to be on the Bridge Commission. So now I'm gonna go to my committees and I don't know,
I
does
don't
this,
know what you mean about the Bridge Committee.
No,
we
they're
had
actually,
somebody
they're solid. They're
that,
doing a
that was
great
gonna
job.
be on it and then backed out
I
because
hope
of
so, they just
nonsense.
started.
Now think about it, like, a lot of our chairpersons are probably in their seventies, right? So we're saying, hey, we want fresh ideas, we want new. That's not what they're hearing. They're hearing, oh, I'm too old. And they have the expertise and the institutional knowledge. And now we're saying, yeah, but you can sit there, but you can't vote on anything. They're
It's
gonna
time
say,
that
forget it.
It's time that
Everybody
knowledge be
here-
passed on to other people too.
Evan, have
I
you ever
think
been on
Bill-
a commission?
Bill on the end
We're all on
wanted,
commissions.
Bill had a comment a little bit ago. Bill, are you with me? Hello.
I've been listening to this conversation, and I think every person on this board has shared a thought that's a grain of truth. Not all of everything, but I'm just saying there's a complicated issue here. And I'm not exactly excited about all of us with what we know and agree on right now, going back to our commissions and doing something constructive. We have to agree on what we want to do, how we want to do it, and when we want to do it. This is not something where the township hall will burn down if we don't do something within the next 36 hours. I think there's a merit in the thought that people with experience have something to contribute. But I'm trying to illustrate a point with this remark. So we keep Tom, he's got 30, he's in his 70s and he's okay. But we have Dick, who's also in his 70s, and he doesn't attend and doesn't seem to contribute much. If we keep one and don't keep the other, what are we going to do about discrimination if somebody gets angry? I'm saying we need to think our way through this so that we have a consistent form of behavior so we don't get ourselves into trouble like that.
Bill, I think you're right, but here's the point. What was brought up tonight by Mark, and it was pretty clear that we're talking about a 25% policy. That's what we're talking about. And, I guess you could be a rocket scientist on the Rocket Commission, but if you showed up once a year, that's what they're talking about. So the
They were
point.
talking about giving them an honorary advisory
Well,
position of some
if possible, but my point is, we need to have a plan to move forward. I don't want to just talk about this and just let it go, and then we talk about it, let it go, talk about it, let it go.
I'm
so-
not saying that, Joe.
No, I know you're not. I think you're agreeing with me. We need a plan.
So-
We need to move
There are
forward.
multiple issues here. You can't
Yeah.
just, slam through them. I looked through the minutes of the meetings, and we need to get back in and look. There are a variety of issues here. I think that having, one person chairing 3 committees, or one person chairing 2, or on 3 committees, I think all that stuff has to be looked at, and we need to reevaluate some of this. As far as reappointing the people that don't have good numbers, for a term that goes out to 29 in some cases, maybe that's something we can decide on here and say, if you can't make the meetings, we're okay if you, take some time off and come back another,
Well, can we all,
in the future.
can we do this, Kevin? Can we all agree, first off, for the next month or two, we go to our commissions, because the next month is coming up, and we talk to the commissions. I will go to the DDA, I go to the Bridge Commission, whatever, that's my 2. And I will just explain that the board is looking at enforcing the 25-75 rule. And if there's a couple people that haven't been, making it, think about it. And then what we can do, if you like, Then in a few months, say 3-4 months after we speak to our commissions, then we see chart that, and then we see if we see a difference. Because we gotta talk to them first, is what I'm hearing from you guys. We talk to them first, and then action can't be taken until we see what has happened, right? I mean, we're not gonna go backwards, we gotta move forward. So as our first step, go to each of your commissions, get a hold of, on that chart, we'll show anybody that is, well, whatever you wanna call it, I guess I'm going the opposite way. But, anybody that's had more than 25% absence for the year, and, we would talk to them, and then we would come back.
Calendar year?
I'm sorry?
Is it calendar year, or what is the year?
Well,
It'd be fiscal
Township year.
I sent out the last 3 years.
no,
I sent out.
didn't he give us he gave us, like to March 31st each year, right?
Yeah, it's April through
Or
March.
to April,
And
yeah.
is that how they're appointed by that year?
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's the other question is,
Yeah.
you have a action item that was tabled. So what is your pleasure as it relates to the one that's back on the agenda for whatever the next meeting
So
date is,
is that
23rd?
only confirming chairs, or is it confirming committee?
There were two action
They're
items.
both
One
on
was
there.
chairs
I
and
think
one
we
was
should confirm the chairs.
members that were expiring, but there might obviously be attendance issues on those that were
If you
listed.
read the policy, commissioners can be removed for any reason, doesn't matter. Okay, obviously, we can't discriminate against issues, but we can remove them for any reason without cause, is the point. So
Is that
if
in
we,
writing, Joe,
I'm sorry,
is
Bill?
that in writing?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, I didn't know that.
It's in the policy. So my point to you is, if we re-up everybody at the next meeting, and then at our meetings in February, March, we're going into April, speak to each of our commissions. This is gonna take some months to do, because we're gonna have to chart after they have been talked to. I think it's only fair that some of the people maybe that aren't showing up at least be put on notice that, we're thinking about the policy. And what we need to do is, if, you don't feel like you wanna stick around, then, Kevin said you may wanna take a break. If you wanna stay on the commission, lovely, we want you. So, do you understand where I'm going with this? We first speak to them,
Yes. But
and then we get and chart them some months down the line. So I have no problem, unless, it's up to the board, obviously. I have no problem re-upping them, because we're starting fresh now, meaning they're gonna get talked to, and we're going to see what they come up with in their own, if that makes sense to this side too.
What I'm saying is agreeing with you, but I'm saying that the focus should be on what do we do and how do we do it, and this thing that's being proposed at the moment is a first step forward. The other parts are our consistency that makes it trustworthy and understandable.
How about a compromise here where most of these reappointments are until March of 2029? Why don't we just reappoint everybody for a year, and that way they can decide if they want to continue, and we can also, as a board, review the process and whether we want the same, have multiple one person being a multiple chair of committees, how many people, having the same individuals on multiple commissions. And maybe if we just say they are renewed for a year, we can relook at everything. And they can decide, and we can decide as a board.
So we're gonna micromanage our chairpersons and our commissions. We're gonna tell them who they can have, who they can't, based on these rules, and we're gonna expect more people to volunteer and put their heart and soul into what they're doing. I mean, in all honesty, if Chad goes off rec, they're all jumping.
Well, I'm just hoping too, Mickey, that once, if you talk to Joe, I'm saying me, like somebody had a talk with me and said, Joe, you only made 2 meetings last year. You can only miss 3 meetings, and you only made 2, or you only made 3, and you can only miss 3. I would think Joe, myself, I know would say, okay, well, I really like to be on this, so maybe I'll up it a little bit.
But what
So
if
I-
he said, hey, I'm in Florida, but if you need me, I'll fly back, and we say, you know what, nothing's going on at this meeting, we don't need you at this one, but we do
Well-
need you at the next one. And he says, okay, I'll fly back for that one.
Okay,
Because Joe,
well,
that's what we do.
Yeah,
is
but-
anybody having a quorum issue? Because I'm not. So I guess this is where I'm kind of getting stuck here.
I am.
Okay, so Jameson, you would have a conversation with whomever on your team, is struggling to show up and see if they're actually still interested. I mean, that makes sense. I think you vocalized it. To me, the liaison, have conversations with people. You're part of, and I will say, I'm not quite getting like Jameson, you said you're there to support the people. I get it. So are you saying that as a liaison, we don't do work? We don't?
No, I'm saying that my job as a liaison is to represent. No, my job as an elected official is to represent the people to the government.
Agree.
Right? So, in that, on a commission, I still represent the people, and to this board, I represent the people, right? So, like, what the commission wants may be like a whole bunch of really great stuff, but if it's not in the interest of the people, or I don't believe it to be in the interest of the people, then I'm not going to support it, right? Just
Okay.
because my commission put it forward doesn't mean I have to bring it as an action item.
Then if I'm hearing you correctly, I think what we kind of settled on early on was I feel like the liaisons have a really good grasp of the working environment of their commissions. And I think, so to your point, we'll use one of yours as an example. If you're struggling with quorum for one of yours, then you know who's not attending and you have a conversation with them. And if they happen to be on the list of renewals, maybe that's something, you call them up and say, hey, here's what's going on. Do you think that, this is a good fit for you still? Do you still want to participate? Because if so, we're going to have to see, an attendance change. But then to Mickey's point, right, she's not having quorum issues. She's not having gaps in her commission. So she knows she wouldn't need to have those conversations. Or Mark doesn't need to have them with ZBA. Whatever the case might be, so I'm struggling, to be very honest with you. I don't want to micromanage. And I just feel like if you have a really good working commission, those are volunteers. They're volunteering their time. Now, if you don't have a good working commission, like you said, you're struggling with quorum, have a good conversation, and maybe that's somebody that you have a gap, you need to open that up, and you need to thank them for their support and find a new person. But I don't think we should be, kind of attacking every volunteer if we have really good working relationships going on these commissions. That's just my point of view.
No, I agree with that sentiment, Margaret. The only caveat I would have to that is these commissions are. So if I have a 7-member commission and I'm rolling with 4 members all the time, I'm not. I don't have the amount of debate or discourse and viewpoints I might normally have in the original design of the commission with 7. But how that works with your commission, I think, is really up to you in the chair, right?
I agree.
That's what
Well,
I feel
okay.
passionate about, is manage your commissions, right? And if everything is going well and they're doing what you need, then narrow in on the problem ones, right? Don't go after all commissions and committees, because it's creating an issue where there isn't one. I mean, seriously, we have one, he'll get on a plane and fly here whenever we want, but it's Michigan. There's a lot of people that fly to Florida for the winter.
Okay,
There
well, we
truly
still
is.
have to, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay,
You
Joe.
finish, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm done.
You sure?
The
Really, I'm
point she's
sorry.
making, though, is part of why I'm saying we should think our way through it. I mean, I can think of 2 people who can fly in from Florida and are wonderfully qualified. But there might be somebody else of same age and ability but doesn't show up. If the ability can't be exposed because that he or she isn't there, then we're losing something. And separating one rather than the other is one issue, but another issue is how do we tactfully and skillfully find someone who's qualified and persuade them to join the commission.
Well, the first thing,
Think our way through this is what I'm taking
okay,
a long time.
the
to
first
say.
thing what we gotta do is decide right now, because you table something, it goes on the next meeting's action item. The chairs are re-upped year anyway, so I'm gonna keep that on. We're gonna vote on that, because they're only year to year. Now, the commissioners are different. Now, again, as I stated, within that policy, a commissioner can be removed for any reason, So I don't have, it's just me, my personal opinion, I don't have a problem re-upping them too, and then having this program move forward. Moving forward by the liaisons talking to the commissioners themselves, and then after, it's gonna take us probably another 6 months to review this, to see if some people have started coming to the meetings. And if not, then we have to meet again and decide what action, if any, would be taken. And it would be a board vote. I get it, we're a board of 7, so, I just feel that, I think first, they need to be notified. Second, then, they need to be looked at in a period of time. And if we have an issue after they were told, looked at a period of time, then we're gonna have to come up with a plan. And that would be the majority of the board to make that decision.
I
So,
like that concept.
is that sound, because next meeting, and Kevin, I know you said, what about like a year? You know, to put them up for a year, doesn't matter to me what we do. There's really no difference because they can be removed at any time. So should we re-up these people?
See, the issue too is when's the last time we removed somebody? It doesn't happen very often, and I think that because some of these folks have been on commissions for a long time, it would be wonderful and helpful if they would, kind of teach the next group, the next generation. And I see that happening in some commissions, not in all. And we also have, on at least a couple instances, we have individuals that are on multiple commissions and they only attend 66% of their meetings. So we have to look at that as, not to be, unpleasant or mean to somebody, but just say, hey, look, we need more new eyes, new thoughts, fresh ideas, and get out there and really ask the community to step up. And there are lots of people with lots of great, backgrounds, and I think it would be a wonderful opportunity. So, that's.
Okay, well, we have to vote on it because once it's tabled, we gotta put it on the next agenda. So, I'm gonna put them both on the agenda. If you guys don't wanna vote, again, the chairs are up every year anyway, and the commissioners are up when they're up. And it's, more than a year sometimes. But as I stated, if the program will start, and we will start by going to them, I think that we might be able to adjust this and get the people to think about, well, maybe I don't really want to be on the commission anymore, or yes, I do, and I'll come more. So, we're gonna have to monitor that, though. That takes a little bit of month. I mean, that's gonna be a half a year. And that's the only way I think that it's fair for me to do it that way. I don't know about the rest of you, what you think, but,
I agree.
I don't know, what else we can do on this, so I'll put it on the next agenda. We'll vote on both issues of re-upping one. Well, you're actually doing both. It's a separate, they're two separate, right, Derek? They weren't together.
Yes.
Yeah, they were separate. So, again, we got a lot out tonight. Got your feelings out, see what you want to do with the commissions. So, anything else? We good? All right, then I'll need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
A second?
Second.
All right, thank you, sir. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, it is 8:32, and we are done.